Hello, my name is Stefan. I'm making this video because I feel like most young people, not young people, I might say like anyone over the age of 18 should really look into driving lorries, because I feel the perception that people have that lorries is not a well-paid job, or it's for old people, or for you know over I don't know older people or something. I think that is the wrong one. That's the wrong one to go by. First, I've been driving lorry since December, end of December. I passed my class one. It wasn't that hard. I've never driven a lorry before. This is my first time driving a lorry. So I passed my class one about December, end of December. The wage on it is about it's about £1,000 a week. Okay, £1,000 a week every week, and you get paid every end of the week. So I was getting paid weekly, which is also good. Also, my previous job I was getting paid £1,800 a month, and then obviously this new job that I've got, I'm getting paid £1,000 a week. So you can see the difference. That's the minimum that someone probably get. I mean, it goes around the 1200 a week or something like that if you put in the right hours in. Also, the thing about me is I don't really mind doing the waiting or the driving or anything like that. I prefer doing nothing. Obviously, as I can say I'm lazy. I don't mind sitting down doing literally nothing all day in a lorry. So for me, it doesn't. I don't really mind. So I'm for both. But the reason I'm making this, because a lot of young lads say, "Oh, I don't want to be driving long distance and all that stuff and blah blah." And this is not what you're gonna be doing every day. I'll show you. Pardon me. I'll show you a picture of my tackle. We hardly drive anyway, because the work I do is normally airport work, cargo work. So which is I pick up from Heathrow and I drop off in Hounslow, right? Let's take an example today. My first job was at what time did I start? My first job, I start at 5 in the morning, like my previous job, or I start 5:45 in the morning. My first job was, let's look at this paperwork. My first job was at 7:43. That was my first job. 7:43, I arrived in Heathrow. I picked up, obviously I had to go to the base and collect the lorry, and then get to the client's location, and obviously collect the paperwork to come into the airport. My first job was at what time was my first job? My first job was at 7:43. That's when I arrived to the airport. That's the time when you arrive to the airport. So I left the airport. So from when I arrived to the airport, I left the airport at 10:20. So it's about 2.5 hours. I was sitting around doing nothing. Okay. Then obviously I get my second job. Second job, obviously, what time did I get my second job? My second job was 11:30. I arrived at the airport, and then I'm still waiting to obviously get loaded and everything else. So my driving hours a week is probably about 10 hours. So I do about 2 hour driving in general, and I don't do more than 2 runs. It's very rare for you to do more than two runs. I literally leave from here, go 5 miles away from here, and then come back here. So literally I probably drive 2 hours a day max. I mean, that's pushing it. Maybe an hour and a half a day. That's the type of job I do. Obviously there's other company which, if you like driving, there's other company who will provide you with long haul drive, like going to Manchester and that and back, which also I don't really mind driving that far, but it's not something that you want to do every day. I bought myself a little iPad where I watch movies, and most of the time driving these lorries, you don't do, if it's cargo work, you honestly don't do. I mean, it's the easiest job you could ever get for the amount of money you're making. And this is what I was gonna say. If I knew this from, let's say 4 years ago, I would have started driving 4 years ago. I'm 32 right now, which is not that high, or that, I mean, it's not that, or I won't say it's not that old. And then I'm making about 4.5K a month, you know. And if I was, imagine if I was a 20, let's say a 25-year-old starting, and I would live, let's say I live at home with my mom and all that stuff. That is good wages. That's that. If in 10 weeks you can have, in 10 weeks you can have 10K. You don't have to have all the bills. You can still be, in 10 weeks you can still be clearing about 7K or something. Do you get what I mean? And that's where I think young lads, like, if you're in your 20s, yeah, get into lorries. That's what I would say. I mean, if you're in your 20s, get into lorries. I think right now the demand is crazy. Like, everyone wants lorry drivers. Obviously you can tell the shortage of drivers and all that stuff. And I know a lot of people are comfortable in the job, because I was comfortable in the job that I was. Do you know what I mean? We didn't really do much, and then you don't, do you know what I mean, all that stuff. But this, obviously you're gonna be alone most of the time. If you like to be alone, this is the best job. You got your phone, you got an iPad. I recommend, if you're doing cargo work, I recommend an iPad, because you need an iPad to just keep you going, or like doing stuff and all that stuff, like watching stuff and catch up on whatever you missed. But there's a lot of stuff to watch. Is there, you got Netflix and everything else that keeps you going. Yeah, it's really what I didn't expect it to be like this. There's two different types. There's, like I said, long haul job. I got my cousin. He does, what does he do? He does he collects massive diggers and all that stuff, and that's a different job. And then from his invoices that I see every week, he easily clears about £1,700 a week. But his work is more intense. I mean, you have to